What's wrong?
Nothing.
My son, Justin, walked into the house without looking at me, his head down.
It's fine. I'm not going to work anymore.
What do you mean? Explain yourself. He seemed like he didn't want to talk to us, so he tried to ignore us and head inside. But I was shocked when I saw Justin's back. Something was stuck on his back. A piece of paper was stuck to his back, and it read, "No hires with a high school diploma." It was probably David's doing. He must have stuck it on Justin when he turned him away. My father, Kenneth, who stormed into the office, wasted no time getting to the point once he settled down.
All $20 million contracts are canceled.
At the time, I didn't realize it, but that one comment would be the trigger to corner David. My name is Ryan Thompson. I'm a man in my 40s, working for a company. I usually work for a certain company, assisting my father, Kenneth Thompson, who is the CEO. My father, now in his 60s, has a strict personality and is very demanding. He doesn't compromise at work, which makes every day challenging. However, because of that, the work is fulfilling, and I can say I'm content every day. I have a son named Justin. Justin has always dreamed of working for a model kit company since he was a child. He took an entrance exam for a major company far away and passed successfully. He's set to start working at that company this spring. As a father, I'm thrilled that Justin's dream is about to come true. When he got the job offer, I was as happy as if it were my own achievement. Justin loved assembling models since he was a kid, so this is great for him. I'm sure he'll find his days fulfilling, just like I do.
Honestly, I thought it might be impossible because it's quite a famous company, so I debated whether to just apply to a normal company. But I didn't want to have any regrets in my one life.
It's your life, so live it the way you want. You've loved models since you were little. I'm glad you passed the interview. Congratulations.
That's right. Don't hold back or give up on anything. Life is short, and before you know it, you'll be an old man if you just drift through it.
When Justin showed a bit of hesitation, my wife, Anna, and I congratulated him this way. Even my strict father was pleased and smiled, saying, "Do your best," as he has a soft spot for his grandson. Justin had already been assigned to a department, greeted his new workplace, and said he had to attend the orientation next. It should be a very happy thing, but I was a bit worried because his male boss in the assigned department seemed to dislike him. Justin has a stronger sense of responsibility than most people, so he tends to hold things in to avoid causing trouble for others when problems arise. Although his male boss wasn't attending the orientation, there was a chance they might encounter each other somewhere. I just hope nothing bad happens to Justin. A few days later, Justin faced the long-awaited morning of the orientation. He seemed a bit nervous the night before and had trouble sleeping, but it wasn't enough to cause significant sleep deprivation. I woke up to the sound of sparrows and headed from my room to the living room. As I entered the living room, I could hear Justin and Anna talking sleepily.
Did you sleep well? You seem a bit groggy. You need to wake up properly.
I'm fine. It takes an hour to get to the company by train, so I'll be awake by then.
When I greeted them and entered the room, Justin, who had just woken up, was sitting at the table. "Good morning."
Oh, good morning. You're up quite early today.
Well, it's Justin's big orientation day today, after all. Even though it wasn't my own event, I was so nervous about Justin's big life change that I couldn't sleep. By the way, my father, who lives with us, wakes up extremely early. So by the time we got up, he had already left the house. As the CEO of the company, he must have a lot to do. While I was thinking about this, Anna brought over the plates she had prepared for breakfast. There were 2 slices of bread, a fried egg, and bacon for me. I took the plate from Anna and made a sandwich out of it. "Justin, are you all set? You haven't forgotten anything, right? Can you properly introduce yourself to the other employees?"
Of course. I've been preparing for this day for a long time. I asked you and Mom to help me practice interviews so much. And you helped me check my belongings too.
That's right. Yesterday, you were so eager, Justin.
"Yeah, you were like a little kid." We laughed, and Justin retorted with a pout. That morning, we had no idea what was going to happen later. The 3 of us casually enjoyed breakfast together. After breakfast, Anna joined us at the table, and we watched TV in the living room. The news had just ended, and a quiz segment began. It was about dining etiquette and trivia. Since I was familiar with the questions, I answered them easily. "That's called a finger bowl, used to clean your fingers."
I didn't know that existed.
By the way, for the question just now, it's common knowledge to use utensils like knives and forks from the outside in. Anna was impressed, and Justin was surprised, making me feel a bit proud. The trivia on TV seemed unrelated to our daily lives. But due to my job, I had many opportunities to learn such things and remembered them well. After answering a few questions, the quiz ended, and the next segment started. Taking that as an opportunity, I asked Justin something that had been on my mind. "By the way, you greeted your workplace the other day, right? How was it?"
It was fine. The atmosphere was good, and everyone was kind to me. No problems at all.
"That's good, but if any trouble arises, like someone harassing you, make sure you talk to someone about it."
I know. There are no problems.
When I last asked, he seemed worried about his boss, but maybe that issue had been resolved. I wanted to ask more detailed questions, but it's not good to be overly involved. Even though he's my son, he's an adult now. We should only step in when he asks for help. However, considering what happened when Justin was younger, I tend to be overprotective. It all goes back to an incident that occurred when Justin was about to graduate high school. Just a month before his graduation, Justin was in an accident. While walking, he was hit by a car that ran a red light. Because of that, Justin couldn't attend his graduation ceremony and didn't go to college.
It was frustrating to miss the graduation ceremony, but I tried to look on the bright side. Since I couldn't go to college, I just started working earlier than others.
Justin said this after he recovered and decided to start working right away. He ventured into the workforce. Until he turned 20, he worked various part-time jobs at factories, but honestly, I wished he had gone to college. Even if it wasn't a regular college, there were other options if we had explained the situation. Because of that incident, I can't help but worry about him. Educational background isn't everything, but there are people in this world who judge others by it. I hope Justin doesn't get hurt because of it. A few minutes later, Justin left the house, and I sighed when I noticed something at the entrance. He forgot something even after all that checking. It seemed he had left his watch by the door. So, I hurried to catch up with Justin. He takes the train to get to work. If he boarded it, I wouldn't be able to catch up, so I had to rush. Fortunately, I found a taxi along the way and headed to the station. There, I walked around searching for Justin. But during the morning rush hour, finding one person was challenging. After several minutes of walking through the crowd, I was about to give up when I miraculously spotted Justin. He was helping a woman in a wheelchair.
Thank you so much. What if you're late to work because of me?
It's okay. I still have plenty of time.
I saw Justin, smiling and talking to the woman near the elevator. And I felt relieved and called out to him. But before I could, Justin spoke to someone else. It was his male boss from work.
David! What a coincidence. I didn't know we lived in the same area.
His name was David Anderson. He was in his 60s, like me. He also commutes a long distance to work and was heading towards the train platform. Justin had told me a bit about him.
Good morning. I'm Justin Thompson, and I'll be working with you.
Although Justin had already introduced himself at work a few days ago, he thought it polite to do it again. He greeted respectfully. But David, perhaps not hearing him, ignored Justin and kept walking. Seeing this, Justin hurried after him, trying to repeat himself. David cut him off with an irritated voice.
Quiet down. I heard you. Can't you tell I'm ignoring you on purpose?
What?
The words were so unexpected that I froze in place. David stopped and glared at Justin.
I heard you didn't finish high school, right? Don't get chummy with me. Know your place.
I just wanted to greet you.
Justin wasn't being rude. Yet, being a high school dropout seemed to be enough reason for such disdain. Until this morning, Justin had been looking forward to working at his dream job, but for something like this to happen is just too much. To face such hostility from a superior at the same workplace.
You shouldn't have even joined. Someone like you, from the bottom rung of society. I was strongly against it, but what was HR thinking?
Justin seemed to be desperately trying to think of ways to show his value and good points. He opened and closed his mouth several times, trying to say something, but no words came out.
Don't think for a moment you can find any sympathy here. If you join the company, I will make sure you and your family suffer. My parents are well connected in this community. It would be easy to spread rumors.
Later, I heard that David's parents were teachers who had many connections in the local area. They had taken care of many students and had established ties with influential people throughout their careers. If David's family spread malicious rumors, many people would undoubtedly hear them. His parents were not actually such people, but neither Justin nor I knew that at the time. So, both of us were bewildered.
I just wanted to get along.
Justin said, his voice trembling and tears welling up as he looked down. Justin was never someone with a weak mentality compared to others. But bringing up his family had probably troubled him deeply.
Even the president, Charles, would be annoyed to have someone with just a high school diploma join the company. The president might welcome such people publicly due to his position, but there's no way he would write on job postings that low education individuals should not apply.
David was talking about their company president, Charles Brown. Charles was a good man who believed in giving everyone a second chance, offering re-employment opportunities to various people. In fact, I knew him well. He would never judge someone by their education. But David, who was distant, couldn't understand my thoughts. I could only watch as Justin, shocked, trembled. I wanted to rush over and cheer him up, but a parent shouldn't interfere more than necessary. So, I clenched my fists and continued to watch. Eventually, Justin regained his composure and looked David in the eye to speak.
You don't have to like me. Just let me work at the same place. I will do what I'm told and won't be a burden.
Justin kept saying that he hoped not to be rejected just because of his low education level. He repeatedly tried to persuade David, looking straight into his eyes. However, It seemed David's heart didn't budge an inch.
Is that all you have to say?
He looked at Justin with a face that showed utter disdain. David grabbed Justin's shoulder. Not to encourage him or accept him as a low-educated person. It was a gesture to reject Justin as a person.
Just looking at you is unpleasant. I can't stand working in the same department as you.
With that, he turned Justin's body towards the station exit. Seeing this, I hurried home. Justin would probably come back home. I had to be the first to welcome him and offer words of support. As I quickly walked away, I heard David's cold voice.
Someone with just a high school diploma shouldn't waste any more of my time. Go home now and find another job.
I wonder how Justin feels right now. What expression does he have as he walks? I wanted to check, but I couldn't call out to him here. He has his pride and wouldn't want to be seen in such a pathetic situation. So, all I could do was go back home. Clenching my fists in frustration at my helplessness, I thought about what to do next. If Justin talked to me about it when he got home, I had to be there for him. As a father, I decided to do everything I could. After about 20 minutes, I got home and explained the situation to Anna while we waited for Justin.
Honey, what's with that scary face? What about the forgotten item?
Actually, a lot happened. Anna, who had been holding a fancy suit for a company party, was stunned after hearing my story. Then, she immediately showed her anger. Normally calm, Anna couldn't hold back this time.
That's terrible. Justin must be really hurt.
Yeah, I want to help him as much as I can, but it's up to Justin's choice. As we talked, Justin soon came home. I quickly grabbed my briefcase, pretending I was just about to leave. In my hurry, I forgot to put away the party clothes, but it seemed Justin didn't notice. Justin avoided looking at us. Justin, weren't you supposed to be at work? Pretending to know nothing, I called out to Justin. But he seemed too drained to respond. He just stood there in silence. Anna, trying to help, spoke up next.
Did you forget something? If so, you need to hurry and get it, or you'll be late.
It's not that. It's not.
Finally speaking, Justin looked at me with a face on the verge of tears. I prayed silently, hoping he would talk to me. What's wrong?
Nothing.
Justin, looking down, walked into the house.
It's okay. I'm not going to work anymore.
What do you mean? Explain yourself. He probably wanted to ignore us and go inside without talking. But I was shocked when I saw Justin's back. Something was stuck on it. A piece of paper was taped to his back, and it read, "No high school dropouts allowed." It was probably David's doing. He must have stuck it on Justin when he turned him away. I held the paper in my hand, praying that Justin would turn to me for help. Aren't you going to say anything? Do you really think we're that unreliable? Seeing my expression, Justin started to cry. It seemed my feelings had reached him, and he began to talk about everything. I comforted him, holding him close. There are things in this world that one cannot handle alone. So, relying on someone in such situations is not a bad thing at all. I made sure to convey this to Justin. A few minutes later, after hearing Justin's story, I called my father. Even though he was already at work, he promised to help his grandson. I couldn't just sit and do nothing either. After giving Justin his forgotten watch, we quickly left the house and headed to Justin's workplace. However, Justin felt terribly guilty about causing trouble for me and his grandfather. As soon as we boarded the train, he apologized.
I'm sorry, Dad. It's pathetic that I can't handle my own problems at my age.
That's not true. You've grown up to be a thoughtful and caring son. I would never blame such a proud son. Besides, this time, the other side is being unfair. There's no shame in asking for my help. I patted Justin's head, comforting him. I remembered the time when Justin, lying in bed with an injury, looked so apologetic. Even as an adult, Justin is still my child and someone I must protect. After about an hour of traveling, we got off the train and headed to Justin's workplace. When I introduced myself at the reception, we were immediately shown to a meeting room. There, we were joined by my father. It was quite something to see 3 generations of our family gathered in another company's office.
Why did they respond so quickly after I gave my name at reception? Are you and Grandpa hiding something from me?
Justin seemed surprised at how quickly we were accommodated. While we were talking, the office became busy, and a man appeared. He approached us nervously. It was the president, Charles Brown, with whom we had many dealings through work. Without wasting any time, my father got straight to the point once he settled down.
We're canceling all $20 million contracts.
Those words were the turning point that would corner David. Whether or not we would actually cancel them was another matter, but my father's statement made Charles realize the gravity of the situation. At that moment, Justin, who didn't understand anything, could only be confused. He stared at me, trying to figure out what was going on. I couldn't leave him in the dark, so I quietly explained the situation. Actually, our company has dealings with this company. I often meet Charles.
Really? I didn't know that.
I'm sorry. But it couldn't be helped due to confidentiality agreements. Justin has been working in the office for the past few years. His work had mostly involved physical labor at factories, so he rarely handled confidential information, but he should have known. He should know not to talk about work-related information indiscriminately. Even so, since he couldn't have predicted this, his reaction was understandable. After all, neither my father nor I ever discuss work at home. On my days off, I'm usually just watching TV or chatting about nothing with Anna. As for my father, he often spends his time tending to his plants or playing chess with the local elderly. It's natural that Justin couldn't imagine this. At work, I assist my father, the company president. I often accompany him to meetings with other companies' executives, so it's common for me to know other company presidents.
That's right. As a president, maintaining good relationships with other companies is crucial. Brian is very personable, which makes conversations go smoothly. He and Charles have had many interactions in the past, so they're quite close.
Hearing our explanations, Justin looked bewildered. Throughout my life, I've gained various knowledge and now use it in my role, akin to a secretary. I advise on management and company policies and suggest appropriate solutions to internal problems. After explaining this, I added, feeling a bit awkward. Well, my father and I can't actually stop the deals on our own. But we needed to express our anger somehow. Unlike Justin, who didn't go college, I graduated top of my class from a prestigious university. Using the knowledge I gained there, I continue to work in my current position to support many employees. However, I didn't think it was appropriate to talk about this with Justin, who couldn't attend high school, so I rarely mention the past. My father also graduated from a respectable university with excellent grades. To avoid pressuring Justin, my father kept silent about it too. Seeing our conversation come to a close, Charles hesitantly spoke up.
So, did one of our employees do something rude to your son?
His attitude was surprisingly humble for a president, but considering our relationship, it made sense. I pretended not to mind and continued talking. Actually, something terrible happened. You see, with Justin occasionally adding details, we explained everything within half an hour.
What a horrible thing. It's not just a company issue. Bringing up family to threaten someone is inexcusable.
Charles turned pale and looked ashamed.
I'm deeply sorry for the serious misconduct of our employee. I need to call him in and hear the full story.
He then sincerely apologized to us. After properly apologizing, he said he would summon David. At that moment, Charles looked fitting for his role, with a serious expression. A few minutes later, David was called in and entered with a puzzled look. He greeted Charles properly and politely introduced himself to my father and me. However, his expression turned sour the moment he saw Justin, looking suspicious. It was clear he was confused about why Justin was there. Seeing this, Charles reprimanded him.
Hey, that's rude. Greet Justin properly.
David looked at Justin and Charles in confusion. After freezing for a few seconds, he carefully chose his words and spoke to Charles.
Excuse me, Charles, but I think you're mistaken. This man doesn't belong here.
Hearing those words, Charles looked deeply disappointed.
Why should you be the one to decide that? It's my decision whether he belongs in this room.
That may be true, but I thought you didn't know who this man is.
I may not know much, but I have enough reason to have him here.
Hearing Charles's words, David looked even more confused.
Anyway, take a seat on the sofa. I'm aware of the relationship between you and Justin, but I don't know the details.
David sat on the sofa as instructed, glaring silently at Justin. Seemingly thinking he had said something unnecessary. He mouthed something silently to Justin, possibly telling him not to say anything more.
There's nothing to discuss here. I don't know what you're concerned about, but it's not worth your time.
As soon as David said that, Charles's demeanor changed. His previously warm atmosphere turned icy.
How many times do I have to tell you that it's not your decision? There won't be a third warning. Watch your words for your own good.
I'm so sorry.
David quickly apologized, trembling. Even Justin seemed a bit scared of Charles, his shoulders shaking slightly.
I understand there was a bit of a dispute on the way to work. You told Justin not to come to work because he's a high school dropout. Is there any mistake in that?
There's plenty of mistakes. I only said it out of kindness. It wasn't malicious at all.
Really? Out of kindness? Threatening to spread bad rumors about his family was also out of kindness?
Charles's tone was calm, but his demeanor remained cold. His voice was gentle, but his eyes were not smiling, making it even more intimidating. Despite trembling, David managed to make an excuse.
That's a lie. I didn't say that. It's absurd to think he couldn't attend the orientation because of a slight reprimand. He's a highly irresponsible new employee, likely lying.
For the first time, I checked the time. Looking at my watch, I realized the orientation has already ended. I had forgotten with everything going on, but Justin was supposed to attend the orientation with a bright outlook. Thinking about that made me a bit sad. With that feeling, I spoke to David. Staying calm. Please refrain from insulting my son. If anything, you seem more likely to lie, considering the sneaky trick you pulled on Justin's back. Even my father couldn't stay silent, speaking gravely.
It's best not to make derogatory remarks about others. It only lowers your own value.
David flinched and fell silent, realizing he had been hit where it hurt. But he might have thought staying silent wouldn't change the situation. So he started speaking in a hesitant voice.
I didn't stick any paper sign on him. That's ridiculous.
David intended to deny it, but he didn't realize he was digging his own grave. Charles coldly pointed out the fact.
No one mentioned anything about a paper sign. Why did you assume that?
I thought it was a prank, so I thought of the paper sign.
Charles snapped at David, who was trying to make excuses. The fierce demeanor was a far cry from the timid stance he had when we first met.
Enough. Admit what you did.
David's expression changed, and he apologized.
I'm sorry. It was all my fault. Please forgive me.
With a voice on the verge of tears, David looked at us and bit his lip. However, he still had more to explain.
Why did you do such a thing?
When Charles asked, David began to speak solemnly.
It's because he's a high school dropout. Having someone with such low education disrupts our company's atmosphere. They won't be able to handle the work properly. I thought there was nothing good about it.
David spoke earnestly, thinking he would gain Charles's approval. His once weak voice grew stronger.
My method was immature. I should have used words to make him understand his flaws. But I don't think my intentions were wrong.
It seems David fundamentally misunderstands people. Hearing his words, Charles held his head as if enduring a headache.
Are you saying that people with low education, like high school dropouts, shouldn't be in our company? That getting rid of them is the right thing to do? So you don't intend to let Justin work here?
You understand perfectly, Charles. I'm glad you grasped what I meant so quickly.
David, finding hope, brightened his expression, unaware of how Charles truly felt. In fact, Charles sighed deeply in disappointment.
I don't understand why you despise low-educated people so much. There are many kinds of people in the world. It's not right to judge them without proper interaction.
You can tell without interacting. Low-educated people can't fit into society properly.
Hearing David's words, I couldn't help but wonder what experiences he'd had. Had he seen that much bad behavior from low-educated people? It seemed so.
There's a bottom-tier high school near my house, so I understand well. They cause disturbances without regard for time, trouble others, and create problems. It was exhausting every day.
There are various things to consider, but it's clear he has been troubled by those high school people throughout his life. I sympathize, but it's unfair to lump Justin in with them.
I understand your feelings, David, but it's unfair to apply your standards to our grandson. Right, Charles?
Yes, I'll impose a small punishment on you for now.
But
I'm sorry, but this is your first offense. You'll be punished for sending a new employee away without permission, and Justin will also impose a punishment. Judging people by their education is unacceptable, but I somewhat understand your feelings.
Charles then imposed a punishment of 1 month of restroom cleaning on David. Though dissatisfied, David reluctantly accepted. Justin also received an apology for the paper sign and the threats about his family. After the resolution with David was over, I thought it was cunning of my father to discuss future interactions with Charles. Amidst a busy work schedule, opportunities to venture into other companies are limited. My father must have thought to handle it properly while he was at it.
While my grandson is important, so are the employees who rely on us. Although we're just moving up the original schedule, we must stay professional and handle our work properly. With this incident, I managed to negotiate slightly better terms for our dealings with their company.
There seems to be a lot I can learn from my father, both as a president and as a person. I've been his assistant for many years, but this incident showed me that I can still lose my cool, so I have a long way to go. Afterward, Justin successfully joined the company and started working with David the next day. Justin worked hard to gain his approval. He worked tirelessly in the product development department, coming up with new model designs and brainstorming ideas for new products. He told us that he found his job incredibly fulfilling, much more than his previous work as a regular employee. Justin always had a bright expression when he reported his work to me and Anna. Seeing him realize his dream and work at his ideal job showed me how much it can change a person. However, the initial satisfaction didn't last long. After a while, Justin was only given menial tasks.
David, is there anything I can do? I'm willing to do anything.
I've told you that you're in the way. Don't talk to me. There's nothing I can trust you with.
Justin pleaded with David. However, David, who still harbored animosity, stopped assigning him significant tasks. He probably still believed that someone with low education was useless. It was foolish thinking. But his colleagues didn't accept David's viewpoint and criticized him.
Poor Justin. He works so hard, but isn't given any real work. It's terrible to judge him just because he is a high school grad. Why doesn't David see that?
You can't measure a person's true worth by their education. We know Justin is a capable person. Saying he's useless is just David's biased view.
According to Justin's colleagues, no one in that department had ever come from a lower educational background. They unanimously felt David was out of line. They never thought David would harass someone like this. He's usually kind to those with similar educational backgrounds. This incident made him realize his skewed values, and he was shocked.
Were my thoughts not normal? Everyone I've spoken to has always agreed with me.
His past associates shared his views, which reinforced his thinking. As a result, he started to reflect on his actions. David requested a demotion himself. That's not all, he also requested a transfer to another department. He chose to work in an area with many low-educated employees. To reassess his values. Although it seemed extreme, he didn't want to go easy on himself. In this new environment, he struggled initially but was helped by his colleagues. Despite the challenges, he realized his mistakes and worked hard every day, reflecting on his actions. Justin later told me about this. A year passed. Today was the anniversary party for Justin's company. Being a large company, the event was held in a spacious hall at a hotel. Invited along with other guests, my father and I met David again for the first time in a year. He had changed significantly from the person he was before. It had been a while since David and Justin had seen each other. After talking about their recent experiences for a while, David suddenly apologized.
I'm really sorry for what happened back then. I was wrong. Please forgive me.
He seemed to have been having a tough time every day. At work, he often needed help from his colleagues, and he even got injured when he was still getting used to things. When his colleagues found out that he used to judge people by their education, he was ostracized. On top of that, he faced a lot of trouble when he incurred the wrath of a senior executive's son. He had even been threatened with harm to his family.
Experiencing the same thing made me understand how Justin felt. I was really terrible to you. I'm ashamed of my actions.
However, it was evident that David had grown significantly as a person after overcoming these troubles. For both Justin and David, the events of a year ago were not pleasant. But that experience was probably necessary for their growth. By the way, my father and I also spoke with Charles for the first time in a while. You've become more resilient. I'm surprised to see how well you're handling your role as president compared to a year ago.
It's all thanks to Ryan helping me out when I was a rookie. He really saved me back then.
Tell me more about that. I'm very interested in hearing about my son's achievements.
I recounted to my father how I had helped Charles when he was an ordinary employee. Teaching him various social norms when he didn't know left from right felt like a distant memory.
I see. So that's what happened. Justin has grown into a responsible and family-oriented person, and you've become someone who values relationships.
Hearing it like that is a bit embarrassing.
Ryan has really helped me a lot. I used to live a sheltered life, protected by my parents. When I entered the real world, I was clueless. If I hadn't met Ryan by chance at a bar back then and learned so much from him, I wouldn't be where I am today.
I used to think he was a helpless young man, but he became a client of our company and is now a president. Not only that, he's now the president of the company where my son Justin works. It's amazing how connections between people can unfold in unexpected ways. After enjoying the party, I returned home and had various conversations with my family. I couldn't have imagined a year ago how much Justin would grow. He learned to rely on others and stopped bearing everything on his own. Now, Justin plans to give us a trip as a gift.
Dad, Mom, and Grandpa, let's go on a trip soon. I got tickets for a nice hotel and a leisure facility. Please keep your schedules open.
You've really grown into a family-oriented person. But for now, just focus on getting used to your job.
That's right. We're just doing what parents should do.
It's been a year, so it's enough.
Justin is truly a kind person. Responsible, and family-oriented. He also has empathy for those in trouble.
Since Justin has gone to the trouble of getting us these tickets, I should make sure to clear my schedule.
You're a busy president. Will you manage?
I'll do my best. It's a precious gift from my grandson.
Many things will happen in the future. But I'm sure Justin will overcome them with the help of others. People live by helping each other. David, too, overcame his flaws thanks to the support of Charles and his new colleagues. No matter the difficulties, I believe that continuing to fight without giving up will help